Episode 1 of The River of Lies, the New Zealand Scandemic, revealed major problems with the government's COVID-19 narrative, such as showing data and evidence that face masks did not work and were not backed by the science. The WHO and governments did not recommend them and even showed them to be useless.
Your views on masks. Is there any reason why masks are something that people should be using?
So for the general public, if you don't have symptoms, there's no need to wear a mask.
You can use a face mask if you like, but it is not really any protection.
You do not have to wear masks because there is no evidence that they protect people who are not sick.
They're not very effective. I think people should not bother with face masks.
But then unknown lobbyists appeared and suddenly the WHO made an abrupt about-face, backing them emphatically.
In light of evolving evidence, WHO advises that governments should encourage
Outside. Get outside.
No, I don't.
Get outside. That's the only way. Get outside.
the general public to wear masks.
Make sure you wear a mask.
Face coverings will become mandatory.
Mandatory for everyone in Melbourne.
People who do not wear a face covering will face a fine.
The important thing here is to, of course, hold the elastic.
We also learned COVID-19 lockdowns, along with elimination and social distancing measures, were arbitrary and not backed by the science, and caused massive harm to lives, livelihoods, and mental health, increasing the rate of suicide in New Zealand, and achieving nothing except the destruction of people's lives and our economy. PCR tests were not fit for purpose, as they could not tell if people were infectious and could deliver false positives. And most horrifyingly, if incorrectly used, as they were by the New Zealand medical sector, could detect coronavirus long after a person was sick. As the investigation continues, we plunge into the heart of the Labour government's COVID vaccine narrative to see if what they told us about the vaccines was the truth. So, we ask these questions. How were COVID-19 vaccines approved? Were they safe and effective? Why were they mandated? What are vaccine passports? And what benefits did they offer? And were they a violation of human rights? Where did the hostile vaccinated versus unvaccinated narrative concept come from? And was propaganda used to manipulate New Zealanders to accept the vaccine? And we investigate if New Zealanders were harmed or even worse by the new COVID-19 vaccines. We will see if the Labour coalition government and their medical and academic officials misled the New Zealand public about the safety of the COVID-19 vaccines, as they misled us about these other issues we've looked into. Because the fact is undeniable, we cannot have faith that this New Zealand government will tell us the truth about the COVID-19 issue. The most alarming and consequentially far-reaching decision was now about to be made by the Labour coalition government under Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and Deputy Prime Minister Winston Peters, and that was to support the development and purchasing of COVID-19 mRNA vaccines. After 2020, the new Labour-led coalition government would begin a new campaign that would terrorise New Zealanders. In partnership with Pfizer, they gave provisional approval for the new mRNA COVID-19 vaccines for deployment in New Zealand. This new novel mRNA technology that had never been used before was given the pharmaceutical name Comirnaty. Here are some of the important issues surrounding the COVID-19 vaccines that this documentary is going to investigate. Number 1, government approval process. What was involved in provisionally approving a never before used vaccine technology such as mRNA? Number 2, what did the government tell the public about these new vaccines? Was it true and accurate? Number 3, what concerns did some have in the government about these new vaccines? Number 4, did the government follow a process of evaluation of the drugs that was consistent with previous drug approval processes? Number 5, did they carry out their own product due diligence or bypass this and trust the vaccine manufacturers to tell them if the vaccines were safe and effective? Number 6, Could these vaccine manufacturers be trusted? And what was their history? Number 7. Were vaccine mandates, passports, and coercion used to force many New Zealanders to take the drug against their will? And lastly, number 8. What were the impacts on the health of Kiwis who trusted the government and took the injection? Now, let's see how it all began, because it starts with approval. River of Lies, the New Zealand Scandemic, Episode 2, The Vaccine Tragedy. A safe and effective investigative documentary. For far too long, the scales of justice have been tilted against the truth. The New Zealand Citizen COVID-19 inquiry has been set up to correct this. Be a part of the movement for truth and accountability. Visit nzcci.com to find out more.